anyways, like we couldn't quite get this thing, but just one day we decided to try a large format and make a big product, and just as like a prototype for something we wanted to do maybe 2 years into the future. And as soon as we saw that prototype and our investor saw it, and it just, the light bulbs went off, and we're like, man, we're going about this all the wrong way. And we completely changed our business model to say, let's do a $4,000 product instead of a $100 product. And let's go after the very high end of the market instead of the mass market. And it was just one of those things where when you're limited and capital constrained, you think, let's crawl before we can walk. It kind of makes sense. Let's start with a small one. It's less risky. But in reality, when you can only make so much and manufacture so much, it's actually probably better to start high end and then go mass market when you're a bigger thing and you can manufacture better at scale and using automation. And you need to do something to make some revenue, so you don't go out of business your first year or two while you're waiting on closing your first deal. And so I took all this advice to heart, and I got all these certifications to become a business valuator and to become what's called a value builder consultant. And that's someone that helps people grow their business's value prior to sell. And you can get paid kind of every month as a consultant, helping people work on their business and build their systems and processes that make up their business's value. And I was like, man, that's genius. I'll be able to get, small checks by doing business valuations for people and then doing business consulting. And then eventually I'll be able to work my way into doing business transactions and brokering multi-million-dollar deals and things like that. And that was the path. That was my plan. Right. And so, and again, right, it's the same lesson. And it's almost like, wow, I just didn't realize that until just now. I just had to learn that lesson. It's kind of like the Nature Lines lesson. It was like logical. Start small, build your way up, right? A restaurant, which is the opposite of that. You're getting a little bit of money every day. I'm still, just from my paranoia from being a commission salesperson and doing stuff that I've done, I'm still paranoid about running out of cash. Cash to a company is like blood. It's like oxygen. You need it every day to be able to pay your bills, pay your people, keep everything going and not freak everybody out. And so yours as an entrepreneur, I'm trying to speak to someone that would listen to this. It's a small business owner.
Yeah.
Your threshold is going to be different than mine, but you need to have one. You need to have a minimum. And if I drop below 3 months, I stop paying myself. I like batten down the hatches. All discretionary spending slows to minimal. And I'm really doing everything I can to move the cash cycle forward to get into that safety range. There should be a band that's like, this is the minimum. And below that, you're kind of in triage emergency mode, but you're doing as little for yourself as you can and as much to feed into the company as you can. And then you've got like a fat checking account level. And when and your goal should be to kind of manage your cash. You're always between these thresholds, or actually if you can push it higher than the top one, then you can make good money as the owner, but you're last. Your people are first, your business is first. And you've got to manage that cash cycle and stay within that threshold. And so I kind of had that discipline and that muscle already, just from the ups and downs and the drama I've been through as an entrepreneur. And so when they announce, okay, we're shutting down the country for 2 weeks or now a month, like that sucks, but I don't have to start like looking around the room, who am I going to fire? Like day 1 or week 2 or week 3. It lets me, if you have cash, a little bit of cushion, then you actually can survey the landscape. Another point I wanted to make that I think is relevant to this time and to this conversation is that the people that are ultimately going to be the biggest winners and the biggest losers, because anytime there's a massive disruption like this, there are people that come out way ahead, and there are people that just get absolutely devastated. And I was trying to think of like some advice of what are some things that are kind of practical for small business owners to be in that first category, right? You want to be one that actually comes out of this stronger and not one that gets wiped out. The biggest one I think is going to be controlling your fear response. The more fearful you are, the more you look at what's right in front of your face, and you can't see out. And the people that come out ahead are ones that don't get gripped in fear, hunker down, only think about today, tomorrow, the next day, but they're not thinking about 6 months, 12 months, 5 years from now. Those people are going to do the classic. They're going to do everything wrong. They're going to sell low and buy high. They're going to do everything wrong because the fear is driving their behavior. If you can lift your chin up, take some deep breaths, and I'm not even just saying that metaphorically, like literally lift your chin up, take some deep breaths, and try to center yourself and work on your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health and well-being, and relax a little bit, look up and look farther ahead. You're going to make much, much better decisions. And so I'm really grateful. That's really hard. It's a daily battle to do that. I have to keep kind of reminding myself that, because I'm not very good at that naturally. My instincts are the first thing I want to do in the morning is grab my phone and start looking at the news and the numbers and all those things, and that just generates this anxiety and fear. And all of a sudden you're reacting instead of being proactive.
Yeah.
And I would really encourage you, if you're listening to this, to kind of break that cycle. Spend, literally 2, 3, 4 hours in the morning of just having your phone plugged in. Don't even look at it yet. For me, it's get some quiet time. Those that win and those that enlarge their territory or expand are going to be the ones that are the least afraid. And so build your cash, build your faith, build your mind up, and then start looking out, look for those opportunities, because they are out there. And there's ways you can get win-win deals done even in the midst of this craziness.
Well, I love that you just brought in one of your 4 core values. And so I would like to encourage anybody out there that needs some of that insight or some of that motivation to look at your 4 core values on your website. In just the time that I've known you, it's one of the things I did talk about at the Economic Summit, is that I pull a lot of my positivity and inspiration from the people that I get to talk to on a daily basis, on a regular basis. And, just having the opportunity to talk to you today and connect with you has been a real pleasure. And I really appreciate all of the insight that you've brought. And, there's opportunities for people to be able to pull that motivation from your LinkedIn page, from your website. You just put out a lot of wonderful information, and I really appreciate that. Thank you for the insight into your personal ways that you've been coping with this. I do think it's important during this time for us to take the time to pause, even in our personal time, and reflect and stay healthy in the ways that we can, and definitely focusing on the things that we can control, and keeping our heads up and looking into the future. So Clint, I really appreciate it. And if you have any last thoughts, feel free to share. But thanks for being my first interview. This will be first for KUDC, and I can't think of a better person to have shared that time with.
No, I just want to say thank you to you. I'm really proud of you and Gil and the EDC and how everybody's responding to this. And it just shows the character of you and your willingness to just pivot yourself and do whatever you can to help and share good information and just be a supporter of our community. So my hat's off to you. I really appreciate you. I thank you for giving me the time to visit with you this morning. It's been a pleasure. So keep up the good work. And my parting thoughts would just be, don't be afraid, be filled with faith, and look for those opportunities. And we're going to come out of this okay. And we're going to come out of this stronger. But just don't don't do anything dumb right now. Just just like, I guess that's just don't freak out and do stupid stuff. Look up and do smart stuff, and tighten the belt, and you'll come out of this thing all right. So that's my encouragement.
Thank you, Clint. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Teresa.